When alien medicine failed her, only a human tried to help. The abandoned patient. The neon blue glow of the Helix Medical Center cast long shadows across the rain-slicked alley as Nikolai Petrov trudged through the night. His broad shoulders hunched against the persistent drizzle, work boots splashing through puddles that reflected the city's endless lights. Another 14-hour shift fixing the atmospheric regulators had left him bone-weary, his fingers still smelling of lubricant and ozone. Neko took this road home every night, past the gleaming Novarian hospital with its impossible architecture and promises of medical miracles for those who could afford them. The facility catered primarily to the wealthy and the well-connected, with a small quota reserved for resource-efficient cases among the working class. The Novarians, with their crystalline skin and mathematical minds, had revolutionized medicine on Earth, but their approach remained coldly pragmatic. A muffled sound from behind a waste disposal unit caught his attention. Probably just another displaced drone, he thought. The city was full of malfunctioning tech these days, but something made him pause, a different quality to the noise, almost like breathing. Cautiously, Nico approached the source, pulling out his work flashlight. What he discovered made him step back in shock. A figure lay crumpled against the wall, partially hidden by discarded packaging materials. Not human, that was immediately evident from the opalescent skin that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. The being was humanoid but delicate, with limbs too slender and graceful to be of Earth. Illumina, one of the rare visitors from the Proxima Centauri system. "Hello," Nico called softly, kneeling beside the alien. "Can you hear me?" The Lumina's eyes fluttered open, 3 iris rings of deepening violet that contracted in the light. Her face was elegant, with features that seemed almost sculpted, framed by tendrils of what appeared to be liquid silver instead of hair. "They determined I was terminal," she whispered, her voice creating harmonic overtones that made Nico's ears tingle. Resource allocation, inefficient. Anger flared in Nico's chest as understanding dawned. The Novarian hospital had deemed her case hopeless and simply discarded her, left her to die in an alley rather than waste resources on a terminal patient. "My name is Nikolai," he said, shrugging off his weatherproof jacket and carefully wrapping it around her trembling form. "What's yours?" "Lyra," she replied, the harmonics in her voice weakening. "Of the third resonance." Nico noted the hospital gown, still bearing the Helix Center's logo. "What happened to you, Lyra? What's your condition?" "Resonance cascade failure," she said, one slender hand pressing against her chest. "My inner light dims. The core harmonics fracture." He didn't fully understand, but he recognized death when he saw it approaching. The shimmer beneath her skin pulsed erratically, like a faltering heartbeat. "I'm going to help you," Nico decided, the words coming before he'd fully thought them through. "Can you stand?" Lyra's attempt to rise failed immediately, her legs buckling. Without hesitation, Nico gathered her into his arms, surprised by how little she weighed, like carrying a child. "Where?" she asked, her 3 ringed eyes studying his face with something between confusion and wonder. "I know someone," Nico replied, already walking with purpose. "Not a conventional doctor, but brilliant with xenobiology. His name is Tarek Hassan." "A human doctor?" Hope flickered in her voice. "Not exactly," Nico admitted, turning down a side street. "He's a veterinarian." Lyra made a sound that might have been laughter, a chiming cadence that momentarily brightened the shimmer beneath her skin. "You would take me to an animal healer." "He's more than that," Nico explained, moving faster now as her body temperature seemed to drop against his chest. "Tarek specializes in non-terrestrial biology. He's treated everything from Martian dust mites to Jovian whales. He understands systems that most human doctors have never encountered." The rain intensified as they made their way through the labyrinthine back streets of the district. Nico protected Lyra as best he could, angling his body to shield her from the downpour. With each block, he felt her internal light pulsing more irregularly, the harmonic overtones in her breathing becoming discordant. "Stay with me," he murmured, increasing his pace to a jog despite his exhaustion. We're almost there. Tarek's clinic occupied a converted warehouse in what had once been an industrial zone. Now it housed a mix of artists' studios, underground tech labs, and businesses that operated in gray areas of legality. The sign, an animated hologram showing various Earth and non-Earth animals, flickered in the rain. The words AHSANXENOBIOBOGUACLINIC glowing in multiple languages. Nico hit the door chime with his elbow, Lyra's weight growing heavier in his arms as her consciousness seemed to fade. We're closed. Call the voice from inside. Emergency cases by appointment only. It's Nico Petrov, he shouted back. Tarek, I've got a life-or-death situation here. A pause, then the sound of security protocols disengaging. The door slid open to reveal Dr. Tarek Hassan, a compact man with a close-cropped beard, intelligent eyes, and the weathered complexion of someone who'd spent years under desert suns before moving to the perpetually overcast megacity. His eyes widened at the sight of Lyra. Nikolai, what have you brought me? Someone who needs help, Nico replied, stepping inside. The Novarians threw her out to die. Tarek's expression hardened. He motioned toward an examination room down the corridor. Bring her in. Quickly. The clinic's interior belied its shabby exterior. Gleaming medical equipment shared space with technology that looked cobbled together from spare parts, creating an impression of ingenious improvisation. Tanks containing exotic organisms lined the walls, and diagnostic machines hummed quietly in the background. Put her here. Tarek indicated a padded examination table, already adjusting settings on a scanner. Illumina, from Proxima Centauri B. I've only read about their physiology. As Nico carefully laid Lyra down, her eyes opened again, focusing with difficulty on Tarek. Her name is Lyra, Nico said. She mentioned something about resonance cascade failure. Tarek nodded, already scanning her with a handheld device. Their biology is photosynthetic and harmonic. They don't just produce light. They are light partially, energy converted to matter and back again in a continuous cycle. The scanner displayed a three-dimensional model of Lyra's internal systems, not organs as humans would understand them, but intricate patterns of light and energy that flowed through physical pathways. The resonance is fracturing, Tarek muttered, his fingers manipulating the holographic display. See these disruptions. Each one should be a perfect harmonic frequency, but they're degrading into chaos. Can you help her? Nico asked, watching Lyra's shimmering skin grow dimmer. Tarek ran a hand through his hair, his expression grave. Maybe. I'd need stellarin extract. It's a compound that can reharmonize disrupted energy patterns. But it's highly regulated, classified as a controlled substance since it can be weaponized. How do we get it? Legally, we don't. Tarek met Nico's gaze. There are suppliers in the undercity markets, but it's dangerous territory. The cost would be substantial, and the risk even more so. Nico looked down at Lyra, at the fading light beneath her skin. In the short time since finding her, something had shifted inside him. A protective instinct, perhaps, or simple human compassion in the face of calculated abandonment. I'll get it, he said firmly, whatever it costs. I can stabilize her temporarily, Tarek replied, already preparing an injection. But without the stellarin, she has perhaps 48 hours before the cascade becomes irreversible. As Tarek administered the stabilizing agent, Lyra's eyes found Nico's. Why? She asked, her voice barely audible, the harmonics almost gone. Why help one not of your kind? Nico took her hand, surprised to feel a gentle current passing between them like static electricity. Because on my world, we don't measure a life's worth by its resource efficiency. The faintest smile touched Lyra's lips as the medication took effect, temporarily strengthening the light patterns beneath her skin. You are not what I expected from humans. Get some rest, Nico told her. I'll be back soon with what you need. As he turned to leave, Tarek caught his arm. The undercity markets are no place for a maintenance engineer, my friend. You'll need help. Then help me, Nico replied simply. Tell me where to go, Huga asked for. Tarek studied him for a long moment, then nodded. There's a dealer named Vex. Reptilian, cybernetically enhanced. Tell him I sent you, and be prepared to bargain. Take nothing at first offer, and whatever you do, don't show fear. Nico glanced back at Lyra, her silver hair spread across the examination table like liquid moonlight, her three-ringed eyes now closed as the medication granted temporary reprieve. I'll be back before dawn, he promised, though he wasn't sure if she could hear him. As he stepped back into the rain-slicked night, Nico felt the weight of the task ahead. The undercity markets were notorious, a lawless exchange where anything could be bought or sold, from illegal tech to restricted substances. It was no place for someone like him, yet he found himself strangely resolute. For reasons he couldn't fully articulate, the fate of this alien being, abandoned by those who should have helped her, had become his responsibility. And Nikolai Petrov had never been one to abandon a responsibility, no matter the cost. Seeking unconventional help. The undercity markets sprawled beneath the foundations of the megacity like a labyrinthine reflection of the world above. Except here, the rules were different. Neon signs in dozens of languages cast their garish glow across makeshift stalls and permanent establishments alike, while holographic advertisements flickered in and out of existence, promoting wares both legal and forbidden. Neko pulled his collar higher as he descended the final access ramp. Tarek had provided detailed directions to find Vex, along with a small metallic token that would identify him as someone under the veterinarian's protection, a concept that apparently still held weight in these shadows. The crowds thickened as he moved deeper into the market, a dizzying parade of humanity mixed with a dozen alien species. A group of saurians haggled over crystalline components at one stall, their scaled bodies gleaming under the lights. Nearby, a cluster of humans with extensive cybernetic modifications exchanged hushed words, their augmented eyes tracking Nico as he passed. You looked lost, surface dweller, came a silky voice from his left. Nico turned to find a woman leaning against a support column, her features suggesting she was mostly human, though the iridescent patterns across her skin hinted at genetic modifications. I'm looking for Vex, Nico replied, keeping his voice steady. The woman's expression shifted subtly. Dangerous company to seek. What's your business? Nico hesitated, then produced the token Tarek had given him. The woman examined it without touching it, then nodded once. Follow the red signs to the nexus, third corridor on the right after the fountain. Look for the bronze door with the serpent insignia. She straightened, interest fading from her eyes. Don't mention my help if things go badly. Before Nico could thank her, she had melted back into the crowd. He followed her directions, increasingly aware of how out of place he appeared. His worker's clothes and unmodified appearance marked him as an outsider, drawing curious and occasionally predatory glances. The bronze door appeared exactly where she had indicated, an intricate serpent design etched across its surface. No handle, no apparent means of entry. Nico hesitated, then pressed Tarek's token against the serpent's eye. The door slid open silently, revealing a dimly lit chamber that resembled an exotic lounge more than a dealer's den. Cushioned seating areas surrounded low tables, while subtle music played from hidden speakers. The air was heavy with the scent of unfamiliar incense. At the room's center, sprawled across what appeared to be a throne fashioned from salvaged technology, sat Vex. As Tarek had described, the dealer was reptilian, a massive figure with scaled skin, the color of burnished copper. Cybernetic enhancements gleamed along his spine and limbs, and one eye had been replaced with a multifaceted optical array that swiveled to focus on Nico. A surface dweller, Vex observed, his voice a mechanical rasp that suggested vocal augmentation. Carrying Hassan's token, no less. How? Unexpected. I need stellarin extract, Nico said, deciding directness was his best approach. A rumbling sound emerged from Vex's chest. Laughter, perhaps. Of course you do. Everyone needs something from Vex. The question is, what does Vex need from you? Neko had come prepared. From his pocket, he produced a small device, a miniaturized atmospheric regulator he had assembled from components borrowed from his workplace. Military-grade air purification technology, he explained, placing it on the table between them. Can transform toxic atmospheres into breathable air for most carbon-based life forms. Portable, rechargeable, unregistered. Vex's mechanical eye whirred as it focused on the device. A slender, cybernetically enhanced limb reached out to examine it. Interesting, but insufficient. The reptilian dealer tilted his massive head. Stellarin extract is extremely valuable. The Novarians control the supply with zealous efficiency. Nico had anticipated this. I also have 3,000 universal credits, he said, placing a transfer chip beside the regulator. It represented his entire savings, money intended for passage off-world someday, to one of the colony worlds where opportunities still existed for people like him. Getting warmer, Vex murmured. But still cool. What else? Nico clenched his jaw. He had one final offering, one he'd hoped to avoid making. From around his neck, he removed a small pendant, a piece of genuine amber containing what appeared to be an insect, suspended forever in golden resin. Pre-collapse Earth artifact, he said quietly, struggling to keep his voice level. Authenticated Baltic amber, over 50 million years old. Family heirloom. This caught Vex's full attention. The dealer's natural eye narrowed as he studied the pendant. Now that is interesting. Natural amber is exceedingly rare since the ecological collapse. His cybernetic limb reached for it, but Nico pulled it back slightly. First, I need assurance. The stellarin, is it pure? Uncontaminated? Vex's scaled lips pulled back in what might have been a smile, revealing rows of pointed teeth. You question Vex's merchandise. Bold. But I respect caution. He gestured, and a compartment in the wall slid open, revealing a small vial filled with luminescent blue fluid. Medical-grade stellarin extract. Enough to treat your Lumina friend. Nico's surprise must have shown on his face, because Vex laughed again. Information is currency down here. Surface dweller. Did you think your errand for Hassan would go unnoticed? Illumina with resonance cascade failure is notable news. With deliberate slowness, Nico placed the amber pendant on the table. Then we have a deal. Vex examined the pendant, then nodded once. We do. He handed over the vial of stellarin extract. A word of advice, freely given. Leave the Undercity immediately. The Novarians have informants everywhere, and they do not appreciate interference with their medical decisions. Nico pocketed the vial carefully. Why would they care about one patient they deemed terminal? Because, Vex replied, his mechanical eye whirring thoughtfully. Lumina are rare visitors to our system, and that particular one is even more special than you realize. Go now. My protection extends only to the door. Outside, Nico moved swiftly through the market, the precious vial secure against his chest. The journey back to the surface passed in a blur of caution and haste, every shadow potentially hiding Novarian agents or market predators sensing valuable cargo. Dawn was breaking when he finally reached Tarek's clinic, the first gray light seeping through the perpetual cloud cover. The veterinarian met him at the door, his expression a mixture of relief and surprise. You made it, Tarek observed, quickly ushering him inside. And with all your limbs intact, I see. How is she? Neko asked, ignoring the attempt at humor. Tarek's expression sobered, declining. The stabilizer is losing effectiveness faster than I anticipated. Her harmonics are becoming increasingly discordant. They hurried to the examination room where Lyra lay, her opalescent skin now almost transparent, the light within pulsing weakly. Her silver hair had lost its liquid sheen, becoming more solid, more ordinary. Lyra, Nico called softly, approaching her side. "I've brought the stellar in." Her three-ringed eyes opened slowly, focusing on him with visible effort. "Nikolai," she whispered, the harmonic overtones in her voice now almost entirely absent. "You returned." "I promised I would," he replied simply, handing the vial to Tarek. The veterinarian worked quickly, transferring the luminescent fluid into an injection system modified for luminophysiology. "This will either reharmonize her resonance pattern," or he didn't finish the sentence. "Do it," Neko urged. Tarek positioned the injection system over Lyra's chest, where the light pulsed most strongly. "The stellarin needs to be introduced directly to her core resonance. It will be painful for her. Her entire energy system will essentially reboot." Lyra's eyes found Neko's again. "Stay," she requested, her slender hand reaching for his. "I'm not going anywhere," he assured her, taking her hand and feeling again that strange electrical current between them. Tarek activated the system. The blue fluid flowed into Lyra's chest, seemingly absorbed directly into the light beneath her skin. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Lyra arched upward, a silent scream on her lips as blinding light erupted from within her. The illumination was so intense that both men had to shield their eyes. Wave after wave of energy pulsed through her body, each one brighter than the last. Neko held onto her hand despite the painful current now flowing between them, grounding her somehow as her body convulsed with the power of the treatment. Gradually, the violent pulses of light began to stabilize. The random flashes coalesced into rhythmic waves, spreading from her core outward in perfect, concentric patterns. The harmonic resonance became audible, a musical tone that seemed to fill the room, growing more complex and beautiful with each passing moment. When the light finally dimmed to manageable levels, Lyra lay still, but transformed. Her skin had regained its opalescent quality, now glowing with a steady inner radiance. The silver of her hair flowed like liquid metal once more, and when she opened her eyes, all three rings of violet were vibrant and clear. "The resonance is reestablishing," Tarek breathed, checking his instruments. "The cascade has been reversed." Lyra sat up slowly, looking down at her hands in wonder as the light played beneath her skin in perfect, harmonic patterns. "How is this possible?" The Novarian doctors said the treatment required resources beyond justification. "They meant it wasn't cost-effective for them," Tarek explained with barely concealed disgust. "Not that it wasn't possible." "You risked much for me," Lyra said, turning to Neko. "The Undercity, your pendant. Why?" Before Nico could respond, the clinic's security system blared an alert. Tarek rushed to a monitoring station, his expression darkening. "Novarian enforcement drones," he reported. 3 of them, scanning the district. "They must have tracked the stellarin." "They can't take her back," Neko said, the protective instinct flaring again. "They won't," Tarek agreed grimly. "But you can't stay here. My clinic is registered and regularly inspected. It would be the first place they look." "Where can we go?" Neko asked, helping Lyra to her feet. She stood steadily now, though still leaning slightly against him. Tarek considered for a moment. "I have a contact, Orion West. Former Earth Alliance pilot, now runs independent transport to the outer colonies. She owes me a favor for treating her navigator's exotic parasite infection." "Off-world?" Neko asked, startled by the suggestion. "The Novarians have jurisdiction throughout Earth's solar system, but their authority diminishes beyond Mars." Tarek was already gathering supplies, medications, nutrient packs, a portable diagnostic unit. Lyra needs time to fully recover, somewhere beyond their reach. Lyra touched Nico's arm, drawing his attention. In the renewed brilliance of her resonance, she appeared almost divine, her features ethereal and otherworldly beautiful. "I cannot ask you to leave your world for me," she said softly. Neko looked around the small clinic, thinking of his tiny apartment above the industrial district, his monotonous job maintaining atmospheric regulators that barely kept the city's air breathable. What was he really leaving behind? "You're not asking," he replied, echoing his words from when they first met. I'm offering. Tarek handed them both environment-adaptive clothing and a small case containing the medical supplies. Orion's ship, the Horizon Runner, docks at the eastern skyport, maintenance level 3. Tell her I'm calling in the Jovian parasite favor. She'll understand. A proximity alert sounded again, more urgently this time. Go, Tarek urged, directing them toward a service exit at the back of the clinic. I'll delay them if they come. Nico hesitated. I don't know how to thank you. Live, Tarek replied simply. Both of you. That will be thanks enough. As they slipped out into the morning light, Lyra's newly restored radiance hidden beneath the adaptive clothing, Nico felt a strange sense of liberation. For the first time in years, perhaps since coming to the Megacity, he was making a choice that wasn't merely about survival. The Novarian drones hummed in the distance, their search patterns visible as they methodically scanned the district. But Nico and Lyra were already moving in the opposite direction, toward the skyport, toward the stars, toward something neither of them could yet define, but both could feel forming between them, a resonance of a different kind.